What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit the sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we're going to be jumping into X-Men's Excalibur, issue number 20. And if you haven't been keeping up with the Excalibur line, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's going to get you completely caught up on everything that's been going on with the Excalibur line since the Ten of Swords event. Now, in the last issue, we saw Excalibur kind of retrieving Captain Britain and bringing her back to their plane, to their Earth. They now have their Betsy Braddock back. But the moment she returned, Rogue was immediately attacked by a super powerful psychic known as Malice. And right now, she is loose somewhere in Krakoa, unable to be seen by the human eye. Now, this is written by Tina Howard, art is by Marcus 2, and cover is by Mohammed Assar. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. So as we get into the opening pages of this, we pick up in England way back when is the time frame that we're given. And we have a mother sitting up late waiting for her daughter to arrive home. And when her daughter arrives home, when Alice arrives home, her mother is upset because her daughter's been gone all night long. And her mother has been up wondering and worried where she has been this entire time. And Alice, being a regular teenager, being her normal self, she kind of ignores her mother, tells her that she's being dramatic, and storms off. And as she's storming off, her mother is telling her, you know, one of these days you're going to be old like me and you'll understand exactly what the issue is, why I'm so worried and why I love you so much. And Alice, you know, she kind of loses it and tells her, you know, she wishes she was nothing. She wishes that she was dead and goes into her room and slams the door. Now, her mother and both her are extremely upset at this point. And a little time passes by and Alice's mother goes up to her room to try to give her something to eat. And going into her room, she sees that her daughter Alice, her body lies dead on the ground. Maybe not dead, but lifeless. And we see Alice, her spirit, though there, is invisible, watching over her body, watching over her mother cry over her body, begging for her to come back. But Alice thinks to herself, you know, if I'm so much trouble, maybe it's best if I am to leave. And this is where Alice leaves. And this is the origin story of Malice. Now, though she is invisible, there is one identifying factor about Malice. Malice's targets are known to be identifiable by a necklace appearing on the throat, but recent activities has shown that the necklace could be concealed in the body, such as removing and swallowing the item. And then we're taken to the council chambers in Krakoa. And we have Captain Britain standing before the council. And the council, you know, while understanding there is business to adhere to, they are all very grateful and happy that she is back. And that she is safely returned from Otherworld. You know, she fought bravely against an impossible foe, and Krakoa will not soon forget her service. But right now, they need her help. Right now, things with Saturnine are not good, to say the least. She hates Betsy with a burning absolute passion. But the issue lies in, they have a portal open there. And with mutants being able to actually die in Otherworlds, and we're having individuals like Rockslide never be the same again. You know, the fear is possible mutant child could accidentally go into the portal, they could die, and this would be absolutely catastrophic. So the options here are we make peace with Saturnine, and we keep the portal open, or we have to close the portal down forever. And as this meeting gets adjourned, Emma Frost goes over to Betsy and lets her know, like, you have some really very loud thoughts that you're being very quiet about. You know, why not talk about it? Why not talk about this new citizen that's made her arrival here in Krakoa? And Betsy tells her, you know, as it stands, Malice hasn't done anything wrong. She hasn't broken any laws, and you know, she's keeping her space. So as it stands, I'm going to keep this as a more personal matter, and then I'm going to handle this on my own. But with Betsy's back turned, we see Emma Frost have the necklace of Malice appear on her neck and immediately attack Betsy. And this is when, out of left field, we see Psylocke come up and use one of her psychic knives on the necklace itself. And what we're seeing is Malice attacking Emma Frost in the council chambers. She waited till everyone was gone. She knew what she was doing and exactly when to time this. And this is when Psylocke goes to get her psychic knife, realizing that it's kind of stuck, and she goes to pull it out. And as she does, Malice gets trapped inside the blade. And we see Betsy be able to hold one of the psychic blades, which usually only Psylocke is able to pick up. And so they take all of this information and they go meet up with Charles Xavier. And they try to explain everything that's kind of going on here. You know, Psylocke had suspected Malice might strike here, and so she set herself to monitor. Now, right now, Emma Frost is kind of in a comatose state. She's locked herself in kind of a safe room, if you will. She developed this little safe room inside her mind exactly for this kind of situation. Now, Malice must have determined that Emma was a powerful enough psychic to throttle the whole room if need be. Lucky for all of them, Malice is like a teenager in a sports car. She only knew enough to be able to really crash it into a wall. And she's angry as well. And so Professor X tells them, you know, the Malice attack has transformed from more of a personal matter to a security threat. Now, all are forgiven and welcome here on Krakoa, but there are those who are cruel and merely reckless and enough to endanger the others, and this is something that they can't permit. And so while they're not saying that they're gonna kind of throw her in jail, they're gonna kind of lock her up more or less, to keep her from being able to hurt anybody else on Krakoa. But Betsy and Psylocke, they see this more as a sad story, because they believe that she was unwillingly separated from her body, and ever since then she's been in a state of disarray and chaos ever since. And so Charles, you know, he lets them know that he'll have the Five make her a husk, and that she may stay here the same as any citizen, but even if she rejects it, she has to answer for the attacks that happened here today. And Magneto also lets them know that they're not going to go easy on her because of her mutation, that they expect more from her because of it. And this is when we pick up at the Braddock Lighthouse. And what we see here is Betsy kind of getting ready for this Hellfire Gala that everybody has been talking about, that we've been seeing so much about all over the internet. And really, she doesn't know what to wear here. And she's really complexed on what to pick out, on what the best option is. And she ends up going through a whole wardrobe here and tells Psylocke that she can have it all. But Psylocke's like, yeah, like it's all my size, but none of that is actually my style. So I have a better idea of what we can do with all of this. And this is where we see them having a bonfire with all of the dresses on the beach, sitting there with the dagger that is now holding Malice. And they've come up with the plan. The plan is that Psylocke and Betsy are going to go into the knife. And they're going to try to convince Malice to take this brand new body and live a new life. And Psylocke's like, alright, let's do this. I'll come along. I'm gonna have your back in there. I'm gonna have her back in there. You know, I know what it's like to be displaced from your body. And so we need to help individuals like this as much as possible. And Psylocke, so like, let's do it right now. Like, why waste any time? Like, we're sitting here, we have the knife. Like, let's just do this. Let's go talk to her. And this is where they both psychically transport their minds, their consciousness, into the knife. And getting inside, they end up at the Violet Velveton in Leeds, England. Kind of a music venue that plays really crappy bands. And as they make their way through the crowd, they go to a back room and they see Alice kind of sulking by herself. And Betsy goes in here to have a conversation, to talk to her and try to get her to take this new body and come and try to live a life on Krakoa. And that's exactly what she tells her. But Alice's hesitation here is that Charles Xavier still wants to punish her. Still wants to do some kind of punishment to her for the things that she did to Emma Frost, to Betsy. Now Betsy is doing her best to try to connect with her, to try to get her to see that this option isn't necessarily selling out or anything like this, but that you could have a new start, you could have a new life. You know, whoever you were in the past no longer matters. you can be a new person on Krakoa. But Betsy calls her Alice, and this triggers her because no one's called her Alice since she was a teenager. And she gets super powerful and goes to threaten Betsy, and Betsy's like, alright, like, calm down, little girl. Like, you don't want to threaten me. That's not going to end well for you. Like, we can settle this calmly because I'm on your side. I'm not trying to hurt you or anything like that. And this is when Psylocke comes into the room, but is immediately ejected out of the knife by Malice, but keeps Betsy in here because they're trying to hash this out. Now, it looks like Malice, you know, she wants a fight. And so Betsy, she's willing to give her that. And this is where Malice creates illusions, shows Betsy her failures, shows her the fighting ring from the Ten of Swords when she lost that fight. And she lets Malice know, like, you're jabbing at the wrong person. Like, I get that I lose. I get that I've fallen, but I'm a fighter. You know, you're flipping through the pages of my biggest mistakes. You know, this duel right here, I may have lost the battle, but we won the war. And tells her to draw her sword, and we see Malice transform into Betsy. And Betsy's just completely unimpressed with everything that Malice is throwing at her, and we see these two start to clash swords. And this fight begins to escalate further and further, but then we see Malice just completely disappear. And coming out into the real world, we see the Malice necklace forming around Psylocke's neck. But before it's able to completely lock in and can take control of her, Betsy wakes up and takes the psychic knife and cuts the necklace, throwing it into the fire, and we see it burn up. Now, this had Malice's consciousness inside of it, and so with it, Malice died. And her consciousness was transported into the hatchery, where we see a new body for Malice that has been formed. And she asks, like, why am I here? And they tell her, like, you died, but you've been reborn. You lashed out against the very nation of Krakoa, and you're gonna have to reconcile for that. You're gonna have to deal with the consequences of your action. But this is when Emma Frost and Psylocke both chime in. You know, they're all aware of the situation, and they feel similar for when it comes to a sense of mercy. You know, they're all sympathetic to those who have had it hard when they were young. And Malice, you know, she's very bitter at this point. She's like, you know what, you guys need to stop toying with me. Just sentence me and call it a day. Put me in your prison, throw me away to rot, whatever it is you're gonna do to me. But this is when Emma Frost looks around the room and asks Psylocke and Betsy, like, are you guys happy, like, with everything that's happened so far? Like, do you seek justice for what happened to you because of Malice? Or are you guys willing to forgive this and we're gonna call it a day? And so everybody in the room, except for Charles Xavier, is like, yeah, we all agree to this. And so they all tell Charles, like, we rather her opportunity than punishment. And with this, Charles is like, all right, man, like, it looks like I've been outvoted, and welcome to Krakoa. And at first, Malice is like, this, are you joking? Are you kidding me? You're not gonna punish me? And they said, no, like, we believe in new opportunities. We believe in being able to give people the chance to be a new person. This is your fresh start. No one can promise it won't hurt like hell, but this is yours. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I really absolutely love this. You know, we're getting Krakoa opening up a world of possibilities for us, exactly like this one. You know, we're seeing Malice brought back into the fold, a name that we haven't seen in Marvel Comics in quite some time, I believe. And she's being able to be brought back in the fold, and she's given the opportunity to not necessarily be a villain or a good guy, but she's given the opportunity to be whatever she wants. And that's what I love about Krakoa and this new X-Men line, is every hero, villain, anti-hero, whatever you want to call them, they all now have an opportunity, as long as they are mutant, to be able to forge a new past for themselves and rewrite who they had become beforehand. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and until the next breakdown.